folks? It's Christian Ballard, Ballard Sports Media and Sports Journalist. Hope everyone's doing great. Hope everyone had a great week last week, great weekend. Here on a Monday, we're in February. We got signing day later this week on Wednesday. I think it's always on Wednesday, but we got that coming up. But do me a favor, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Really would appreciate it. Helps the channel out. We're continuing our team previews for 2025, looking at Clemson today. And I thought about this one, and I don't think I want to do guests for team previews this year. Maybe in 26 or so, we'll try to get back to every once in a while having a guest come on and kind of help out with it. I mean, we'll get guests every once in a while on a show or something, and we'll try to get their insight. But I think I'll go solo on giving my personal predictions, which I think is just kind of how it should be. I think it's great. And I think it works out very well. So, what did Clemson do last year? Well, they had a pretty good year. They did make the college football playoff. They didn't really get too far in it, but when I look at Clemson, I thought this was one of their more improved teams last year, going 10-4. They did lose to Georgia. They lost somewhat of a close game to Louisville. They lost to South Carolina, and then they made the first round of the playoffs after winning the ACC. They did not get a top bye, but they did play Texas. Now, Texas didn't end up making the championship, but they did make the CFP semifinals. I don't think it was a bad loss. They had to go to Austin, and they did put up a good fight. They only lost by 14 to Texas, and it was 38-24. Guys coming back this year, I really don't haven't looked too much into it, but I will say that you are looking at Cade Klubnik most likely coming back. Will Shipley's been gone, obviously. I'm just going to be honest. I'm ready to get this schedule preview out, and the only thing I can say is what's very consistent with Clemson. No matter who they always have one of the top defensive lines and units in the ACC, let alone in college football. And I think that stands out to me. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I really just want to look at their schedule today overall, just kind of give my thoughts. But we're given the Atmos record prediction in terms of this is their ceiling. This is how far they could go. I don't think they're hitting 11 wins for maybe a couple years. Their recruiting is great. They, uh, obviously I personally still believe that Dabo Swinney is one of the top coaches in America right now. And I think his recruiting shows that. I know he doesn't necessarily use the portal, and he gets criticized for that, which I could get that. Like, you have to survive in college football today by the transfer portal, by the recruiting, by the NIL, and all of that stuff. I think you just have to. We got signing day coming up here in a couple days as I record this on Monday, February 3rd. And they've signed a lot of great guys. They did sign a 5-star in Amari Adams, a defensive lineman. They got Gideon Davidson is a running back who's a 4-star. They sit currently at 27. Are there guys out there? They did use the transfer portal, though, a little bit. They got 3. They did get, and I'm going to give them some props here. They got Jeremiah Alexander from Alabama, who's a linebacker, immediate eligibility. This guy is a stud. He left, he transferred, he comes over to Clemson. Most of these teams, like we're going to do Georgia at some point. We've already done Alabama. These are the obvious teams. They're going to be good. How good is the question? And that's the same thing with Clemson. we won't really know too much until we get into spring practice and start hearing from these coaches, and then we see the spring game and everything, which will be fun to see. But I like some of the guys they brought in recruiting. I like Amari Adams. I like Braden Jacobs, who's an offensive tackle from Alpharetta, Georgia. Marquise Henderson is a running back. Um, I I do like some of the guys they brought in. Will Taylor is going to be a key receiver. Um, so like when I look at Clemson overall, I see talent and I see competition. And I think the one thing that's held them back the last few years, especially even going back to DJ Uiagalelei, was quarterback play. That's fair. Cade Klubnik, not as bad. Not elite, not great, but he has potential this next year. And I thought they had potential this last year. And look, they made the playoffs. Now they lost to Texas, but Texas was Texas and did their thing. Um, but like something's got to give, right? Like they got a tough schedule coming up. I'm just going to go ahead and throw it up on the screen here and just kind of talk about this because I really believe that you're only as good when it comes to these games as not so much the talent you put out, but the work you put in. And I I don't know. I don't know what Clemson's ceiling is, but I know what the mission and goal should be. It should be getting back to the ACC title year in and year out. It should be consistently winning that. But then also at one point, or at some point, I should say, for Dabo Swinney, he's got to be asking himself, hey, how do I take that next step and get a third national title? How do I get back to that? Because we're not too far removed from when they were beating Alabama in these national titles. I mean, we are not too far removed from the narrative of Clemson that they're the next Alabama, that they're the next cream of the crop, they're the next standard in football. And then all of a sudden, something happened where that narrative flipped a switch, and then it was a downfall. They started losing coordinators, guys transfer out, they don't use the portal to get guys back. I don't I don't know how that all just up and happened. And then Georgia took their place. And then now Nick Saban's retired. And now is there really a set standard for a team in college football? Because even Georgia's having their own issues. And Ohio State just won the title, but is that really the standard? I mean, I don't. There's a race for it, and Clemson's in the hunt for that title. Looking at their schedule, it's going to be difficult. They open with LSU. This is a home and home, which I'm excited to see. They have not met since the Joe Burrow national title, actually. Um, so they open with LSU. They play Troy, go to Georgia Tech, Syracuse, get 2 bye weeks because of the calendar and everything. They have back-to-back games with North Carolina and Boston College. That's winning those games is easier said than done. SMU made the playoffs last year, runner up in the ACC. Duke, Florida State, Louisville, Furman, and South Carolina. I look at this and I say it's going to calm down at some point in this schedule. I do think they'll handle Florida State and Duke and Furman. Maybe handle South Carolina. We'll see what South Carolina looks like this year. Shout out to all the South Carolina fans. Shout out to the Clemson fans of this community, too, here at BSM. And just nothing but love and respect for all of you. And now, look at the schedule. Things that stand out to me. I have question marks for some of these teams because I haven't looked at them. I haven't previewed them yet. I haven't really done a deep dive for anybody on this schedule. I haven't even done LSU yet. But LSU is, I mean, it's Brian Kelly, and you know, it's a good game to open with, a home and home. Probably going to be a night game. I'm hyped up for this one on August 30th. You also notice April 5th is their spring game. That is something I don't know if it's going to be televised yet. If it is, it's probably going to be ACC Network. That's something we're going to have to watch and that we can revisit this. But just kind of going off the top of my head, giving early thoughts on all this, I say it sets up to be a decent schedule for Clemson. I really believe that. I'm giving my at most record predictions here, and I'll just go ahead and throw it on the table here at 10-2 with losses most likely to LSU and South Carolina. They could be LSU. I just that's I don't know if I would say that's the at most right now because they could easily hit 11-1. They're not going 12-0. I don't think anyone for a while is going to go 12-0 in the regular season. I just don't see it. There's too much competition in the Big Ten, SEC, ACC, and all that. But Louisville could be a scary team too. South Carolina at the end of the year, SMU, North Carolina, don't sleep on them. Bill Belichick and what he's doing. Okay. There's a lot of room for error. The only thing is that I'm just like, and I can't be the only one, but I am a big believer in what Clemson could bring to the table next year in college football in the ACC. And I know that they're one of the teams trying to form this alliance and get out with Florida State, at least what we've heard rumors wise. We're not going to get into that in this video. But I think the non-conference schedule outside LSU, I think it sets up with Troy, Furman, South Carolina. Uh, I mean, your toughest games are going to be hosting LSU, going to South Carolina, at least as far as the non-con. You get into ACC play, you got to go to Bobby Dodd. Could they lose that game? Absolutely. If they're not careful and they overlook Georgia Tech for Syracuse or somebody, and I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, they could easily slip up there. They could win that game, get a little momentum. They have a bye week after Syracuse, but Syracuse in years past, I don't think they've beaten Clemson since 2017. I think was the last time, but they have given Clemson a scare every once in a while. This one's at home. Even at home, Syracuse can give Clemson some trouble. They give a lot of ACC teams some trouble, but Syracuse is always interesting when it comes to the Tigers. North Carolina, Boston College, SMU. These should be easy games, but again, with Bill Belichick taking the reins at the Tar Heels and Chapel Hill, and then Bill O'Brien and Boston College right now, those are two really good names in football IQ that they're going to recruit good. They're going to use the portal a little bit. At least we would think with Bill Belichick. We don't know exactly quite yet, but Boston College has done pretty good so far with O'Brien, and I just these are tough games to call. And again, a lot of these teams like Clemson, like I said, they're going to be those teams that we look back on and say, "Man, you predicted this too early." Well, I'm trying to get every team as in the Power Four uh, that I can this off season. Like that's been a goal for me for a while, and I want to achieve it here in 2025. So I'm looking at Clemson. I'm giving them the at most. South Carolina is going to be dangerous and one of those teams that gets better as the year goes on. And I just think, even though it is at home, I like LSU this next year. I just do. I really like Brian Kelly. It is possible that they win that LSU game, absolutely. They'll probably be maybe a field goal or touchdown favorite. But LSU, man, you never know with them. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. I've rambled on long enough. I got to hear from Clemson fans themselves. What is it that's going to stand out for this year's squad? What's the toughest game on this schedule? Because I look at the football roster and everything. Y'all are loaded. Y'all got studs. You really do. Especially in the defensive edge room. You lost guys like AJ Hoffler, I think went to Tech or something. I did see that news. Uh, but you have Peter Woods should be back on the defensive line. To my knowledge, he should be, but I just man, something's got to give for them. I don't even think that the issue for Clemson has not been defensive line or anything. Like at times, yeah, they mess up a little bit. They've recruited greatly. They got that Chris Denson I kind of reviewed when they signed him. He's from my hometown in Plant City, Florida. Let's go. You got Carlton Preston is a wide receiver. You got good guys coming in for Clemson. You've recruited greatly, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I noticed that the offensive side was really the go-to thing in this class for 2025. What we see from Clemson, though, and here's the thing: the reason they haven't won a national title, and it's really not too hard to figure out. Clemson has not won a national title since 2018, let alone made it back to a national title since that Clemson year, or the LSU year, I should say. And I don't think they're necessarily doing anything wrong, other than Dabo does not use the portal. I mean, he is allergic. It is allergy season year round when the portal's open. He's out there with a mask on his face saying, "Oh no, we got plenty of guys. We don't do." And he's not using the portal. Now I've seen where he has used the portal a little bit this year. I mean, like I said, you know, some guys have come in. Jeremiah Alexander probably going to be one of the better linebackers on the team. Uh, Will Height is an edge from Purdue, and then where is this guy from? Is that Jacksonville State? Tristan Smith is a wide receiver, a 3-star. So Southeast Missouri State, actually, I misread that. Uh, Logos look similar, but anyway, saying all that to say that Clemson's in a good position to make a good run in 2025, but they have to do their part. And I know that goes for any team out there, but in particular, like with Clemson, they got to build the O line in the trenches. K Klubnik got to get a little bit better. And it's not like he's done anything wrong. You just need some receivers to step up, build your run game, build that O line. I think the offense is really what's been missing for this team. And I think overall, I think they could do it. At most, I'm giving them 10-2. As I mentioned, I'll say LSU and South Carolina. I know those are two SEC teams. I'm going to get a lot of slack for that. I know. I'll be here to take it. Anyway, that's all I got to say today. I love you guys. Jesus loves you. God bless. And we'll see you next time here at Ballard Sports Media. Good luck to Clemson and all these other teams out there for 2025.